In the previous lecture, I shared with you the subconscious lurking in the darkness. Today, I will talk to you about consciousness under the light and discuss the core of consciousness, free will. Free will is an illusion. The famous Hungarian patriot poet Petőfi wrote a poem with a line that goes like this: "Life is precious, love is even more valuable, if it is for freedom, both can be abandoned." Here, freedom refers to our free will. Because we have free will, we can make decisions and take actions according to our own will. However, in today's lecture, I want to tell you that all of this may be an illusion. You may say, how can my free will be an illusion? Let me give you an example. If I want to raise my hand will go up. If I want to drink water, I will pick up the cup and take a sip. Isn't it me who decides my actions? Don't I have free will? We take this view for granted. But with the development of science and the deepening of our understanding of psychology and consciousness, more and more philosophers, psychologists, and neuroscientists believe that our free will is just a byproduct, meaning that it has no causal relationship with our behavior. Everything you do was determined at the moment of the universe's birth. Philosophers have proposed a hypothesis called the cosmic explosion determinism. 13.7 billion years ago, a dense and hot point exploded and formed our current universe. Before the explosion, there was no space, no time, and no physical rules. After the explosion, various physical rules and particle movements emerged. Therefore, at the moment of the cosmic explosion, the physical rules were determined, and the initial values of particle movements were also determined. As a system, the universe's every step can be deduced. In other words, if we know all the initial values, rules, and formulas of the cosmic explosion, we can deduce every state and everything from the cosmic explosion to the present and even the future. To put it more bluntly, everything we do now, including every word I say and every word I will say, was already determined at the moment of the universe's birth 13.7 billion years ago. If everything you say, think, and do at every moment was determined at the moment of the universe's birth, where is your free will? Free will is just an unconscious byproduct. Of course, you can say that this is just a thought experiment by philosophers. The universe is so complex, who can calculate it? Let me give you another example. I want to raise my hand, and then my hand goes up. Isn't this a perfect manifestation of my free will? Psychologists say no. Years ago, neuroscientists discovered a brain electrical component called readiness potential, which appears 500 to 800 milliseconds before we raise our hands. Neuroscientists were very excited and believed that this readiness potential was the neural basis of our free will. Based on this discovery, psychologists conducted a more detailed experiment to record 2 key times when the subjects wanted to move their fingers to finger movement. Time 1, the time when the brain wants to move the finger, which is our free will. Time 2, the time when the readiness potential appears. The results were surprising. The readiness potential appeared 535 milliseconds before the actual finger movement, while the time when we had the idea of moving our fingers was only 204 milliseconds earlier than the actual finger movement. In other words, the brain first produced an electrical activity that determined that I wanted to move my finger, and then after about 300 milliseconds, my free will realized that I wanted to move my finger. Therefore, our so-called free will does not determine our actions, it is just a bystander. Here's an analogy. Imagine you're sitting in the passenger seat of a car. You see the steering wheel turn left, and then you say the car will turn left. The car does turn left. But you wouldn't say that you controlled the car's direction because you know you're just observing from the passenger seat. The same thing happens with free will. Before you move your finger, your unconscious sends 2 signals. One signal makes you move your finger, and the other signal informs your consciousness that your finger is about to move. When you learn that you are going to move your finger before your finger actually moves, you have an illusion that your free will determines your actions. Free will helps you understand your decisions. Since our free will is just a byproduct and cannot determine our behavior, what is the point of cherishing free will? I want to use a dialogue from The Matrix to answer this question. In the movie, the Oracle takes out a candy and asks Neo, "Do you want to eat this candy?" Neo replies, "You're the Oracle. You already know if I'm going to eat the candy or not. So what's the point of my decision?" The Oracle gives a profound answer, "You didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it." As the Oracle said, our free will is not here to make decisions. It is here to help us understand why we make decisions. Each of us has a mission to accomplish in this world, but we don't know what our mission is. Therefore, we need to reflect and understand constantly on our journey. Only when we understand our mission can we avoid getting lost in the many forks in the road and walk more firmly. Although your free will cannot make choices, it can make your choices more efficient and meaningful, and make your steps more firm. Therefore, the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said, "Only by constantly looking back can you understand life, but to live a wonderful life, you must set sail forward." At the end of this lecture, I want to use a quote from William James, the founder of modern psychology, to conclude the lecture on free will. He said, "Romeo wants Juliet as the filings want the magnet, and if no obstacles intervene, he moves towards her by as straight a line as they. But Romeo and Juliet, if a wall be built between them, do not remain idiotically pressing their faces against its opposite sides like the magnet and the filings with the card. You can never tell beforehand what any man or woman will do in a given situation, but you can tell with entire certainty what they will do in the long run. The final outcome will be the same for all. But the paths by which people reach it may differ very widely. Finally, let us delve into a thought experiment. If we lack free will, does the concept of freedom hold any significance? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments section, and until our next discourse, farewell.